Hi everyone, and welcome to a review for the 5th season written by N.K. Jemison. This was published by Orbit Books, and this particular book came out in 2015. This is the first in a series. The series is called the Broken Earth Trilogy. I would say this is definitely a adult fantasy book with sprinkling, not really any, I wouldn't even say it has romance, fantasy. So I did listen to the audiobook along with this. The audiobook is 15 hours and 27 minutes and it was narrated by Robin Miles. Robin did a good job, I believe, in this. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into this. What is this about? There's this person, I believe her name is Demaya. It's kind of told from 3 different times. And one is told from the perspective of Demaya, I believe is her name. And she is kind of ostracized by her family, and basically it's known that she has this particular power where she can sense things in the earth, like she can sense earthquakes, and if she gets her anger or fear or something gets too much, she can end up killing people with this power, like freezing them to death. So she can stop earthquakes, quiet things down, maybe even cause earthquakes. The 5th season just means kind of like the earth is in turmoil and things are starting to happen, like volcanoes are starting to become in a state of unrest. There's, depending on some seasons, sometimes there could be tsunamis and floods and earthquakes and ash. So like just from a volcano eruption, just a bunch of ash, bad smells. So there's a bunch of stuff like that. And so this guy comes to Demaya and is basically trying to take her from her family so that he can train her up to become this powerful person that can help protect the earth. Okay, that's what it is. The whole thing where it's like spewing ash blots out the sun, I didn't really see that. And yeah, okay, so let me tell you what this says on the back. And a lot of people kind of go more on the natural disasters type of thing for the synopsis. I think that's a side plot or a side thread, but it's not the most important thing. It's the character, her magical abilities, learning how powerful she is, things like that. It says, it starts with the great red rift across the heart of the world's sole continent, spewing ash that blots out the sun. I wouldn't say it blots out the sun. I think maybe depending on the city that you're in, yes, it'll blot out the sun, because there are other areas where it seems like everything's nice and bright and things like that. And so there's not a sun blotted out. So I think that depends on where you live. It starts with death, with a murdered son and a missing daughter. Yes, you do get that right off the bat as well. Isu, I think is how you say the name, is another plot thread in this, and it is her son that is murdered, and you find out right away who murdered. I'm not going to say because it's definitely a driving force, but I will say that the person that killed the son is suspected to have taken her daughter. So Esau is on a hunt to find her daughter. Obviously, you have this whole grieving process with the death of her son. This doctor comes and helps her, things like that, and then she ends up on this journey. She ends up on this journey to try and find her daughter. She comes across this boy, and there's just something very strange about him. His movements are weird, how he talks is weird, there's things that are just not quite right, and you do find out later on in the book, but she does end up with a companion. The rest of this, yeah, so that's pretty much all it says. So that's pretty much it. The third plot thread, you're following is, I believe it's Cyanite or something like that. I can't remember her name. But she, in fact, is there a list of chapter headings? Because her name is on a chapter heading. No, there's not. No, there's not. Anyway, it starts with an S. It's like Cyanite or something. And you're following her. She goes on this mission. She is tasked with becoming pregnant with this guy who's like this huge level of being able to control elements of the earth. She's tasked with becoming pregnant with his child and going on this mission with him to figure out what's going on in a certain area of the world. So those are the 3 plot points. Okay. Death of a child obviously is a trigger warning. It does say it right on the synopsis, so it's not a big spoiler, but it does delve into it and goes back to reflect on it quite a bit, as well as the missing child. It does at times get descriptive with child abuse, so be aware of that, of physical abuse. Rape is mentioned only once, okay? What else do you need to know? So missing child, I already covered that. You have how women are not as highly thought of as men. Men get the higher positions, women do not. And there are some women that are just, their sole purpose is to basically have sex and have babies, to give birth to more people with abilities that can handle the elements. Okay, so they're tasked with having babies. There is a sex scene in this that is, I would say, open door, maybe possibly 2. One of them, it wasn't very descriptive, but you know that that's what they did, so it wouldn't have qualified. I'd say maybe the doors cracked open. So, but yeah. Let's see, what else? Oh, now if I understood the context correctly, child molestation is alluded to. That is, if I understood it correctly. So please be aware of that. You also have, if I understood correctly, cannibalism. And I think it's cannibalism of a child, of children. So again, please be aware of those things. I could be wrong on the molestation and the cannibalism. I could have read that completely wrong and understood it way off the mark. But I think it is there. Okay. So one of the sex scenes that is described is a threesome. Okay. You have 2 males and 1 female. Okay, now what type of words are in here? You do have the word rust comes in here a lot. I don't know what that word was supposed to replace, but it's like it could have worked as the F-bomb, it could have worked as hell, it could have worked as something else. So rust is used as a swear word in this. So as far as representation, you have a lot of diversity rep when regarding skin. It is talked about how someone's hair is blonde and their eyes are blue, and how light their skin is, but then other areas it talks about how dark their skin can be and how else they can look. So it doesn't say the race, except of these fictional cultures. It describes them more. So you do have racial diversity in this. The other thing, I believe you have, it's not really talked about, it's kind of very lightly glossed over. One of the characters, I believe, is gay, but he is one of the ones who has to provide children to this place that oversees all these people that have these abilities. And so in order to do that, he has to have sex with a woman, but I think he's actually gay. So you do have that. There's another character that pops up in this that I think is actually bisexual and is perfectly fine having sex with a female and sex with a man. So that is in there as well. The other thing, I think there's 2 characters in this. Definitely one. There's definitely the one who I think is, it's kind of symbolizing someone being transgender, because it talks about how this person is a woman, has these womanly features, wears a dress, talks like a woman, acts like a woman, all of this stuff, but yet when this individual, and the person is referred to as she, when she gets naked to have a bath, it's seen that she has a penis. So transgender is what I'm thinking, is kind of represented in this, I guess. So I would say you definitely do have LGBT rep. Now, as far as words, orgasm comes up once. Dick comes up once. Another word for dick is cock. Don't like that word, but that comes up twice. The word masturbate comes up once, and as far as the masturbate, it comes up in the terms of like, you would be more satisfied if you were to go lay down by yourself and masturbate than be with me, type of a thing. So it's not, you're not seeing it, it's just kind of thrown out there how someone would be more satisfied with that act. The word horror comes up once, hell comes up twice, ass comes up 8 times, the word come arrives once, and it's in a sexual content. And let's see, as far as like sexual bodily fluids that happen during sex. Let's see, dildo comes out once. And let's see, bastard 5 times. Damn, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 27 times. Okay, so damn is in here 27 times. Shit is in here 30 times. And then the F-bomb, F-U-C-K, I really don't want to say it. I just don't like saying it. I've said it a couple in other videos, but again, for statistical purposes, fuck is in here 14 times. So those are the terms that are in here. I do admit I was kind of on, for just over half, I was on the fence. I was, well, not on the fence. I was sitting at like maybe giving this a 3-star. Am I going to continue it? But I felt like the intrigue picked up. So I was enjoying it, but it was more like, felt like a 3-star. Towards the end, it started to pick up and the intrigue increased. So I ended up personally giving this like a 4-star. I do want to continue it. I have ordered the second book, so I'm waiting for that to arrive. When will I pick up the second book? I have no idea, but it's not like I'm in this dire, I've got to know what happens next. So, but I am intrigued, and I think I liked the writing. I like how in-depth the world got, and as far as the ability of these people. And you learned that some people, like the people that could help with the earthquakes, can sense things in the ground, like little tremors, can sense if something's man-made or not. And just, they all have different abilities, and that was really interesting to see that the diversity of that as well. So that each person is definitely not the same, and others have strengths in one area and weaknesses in the other, and can learn from each other. So I liked it, and I look forward to continuing that. So those are the stats, and that's the very brief synopsis that I can give, because I can't give the synopsis for any more than that for 2 reasons. 1, I don't want to risk spoiling anything. And 2, I am still kind of confused as far as what's going on. I have the very basic gist of it, but I'm still confused. I do think that if I were to reread this book in the future, I will understand a lot more of it, especially if I reread it after I read the second one, then I'll understand it more. And I think with each reread, my understanding of it will go, and then my ability to tell you the synopsis would increase with each reread. But for right now, I have just a very basic grasp of it, but hopefully with the second book, that understanding will grow. So can't really give you more than that, just due to lack of understanding, pretty much. So that's it. Let me know if you've read this. Have you read anything else by N.K. Jemison? I did see on the back she has, there's this other book that's been making around on Bookstagram that I've seen, and I can't remember the name of it, but there's another trilogy called the Inheritance Trilogy, and it says it's an orphan and an outcast from the barbarian north. So she's got a lot of books out. There's something called the Dream Blood Duology. So yeah, let me know if you've read anything by N.K. Jemison. What do you think of her writing? What book have you read by N.K. Jemison, and what do you think of it? So talk to me in the comment section below, and until next time, stay true to yourself and enjoy a good book, and I'll talk to you later.